welcome back to the Back Big Pack Corner. Here we are with dance hall days, and it might go something like this. Well, it's true Jim Ginty's life was sheltered just for 50 years or more. He just farmed and cared for man and seldom went outside the door. When Sunday came round, it was always the same. He'd say, "Ma, can I go to the dance?" But she always said no, and he didn't go, though he longed for a bit of romance. And the day that Ma passed away, Jim said his life was about to begin, though the last word she said still rang in his ears, was that dancing out by was a sin. Yeah, that dancing out by was a sin. He waited a month to pass by, as in respect he thought it looked better. But when going home from our monk's mine, he got distracted by an owl-zetter. It was not so much the old tractor that caught his attention, but rather it was Kitty O'Ken who was driving it to collect her dad's pension. You see, Jim had an eye on Kitty for 30 years or more, and the sight of her on the owl-zetter was one he just couldn't ignore. Yeah, it was one he just couldn't ignore. And as he passed the owl shop on the corner, he heard one local out saying, "There's a big band in the dance hall tonight. Yeah, Big Tom and his band are a-playing." But Jim knew that Kitty liked dancing, as he'd heard that she often went there. And while his heart it was filled with romancing, hers at his old fumes filled the air. Well, he rushed then quickly on home to prepare for the big night ahead. Yeah, boiled up some kettles of water and a half-bar brought in from the shed. Yeah, and a half-bar brought in from the shed. Well, he felt if he got a good scrubbing with Kitty, he might have a hope. So he jumped in the barrel with a brush and a big bar of parabolic soap. And Jim washed and he scrubbed for an hour, till a shine appeared on his face. He didn't smell quite like the flowers, so some allspice he splashed on just in case. Then he tried to fit into his breeches that he'd worn for his confirmation, and I can tell that he ripped a few stitches, as he hadn't allowed for inflation. No, as he hadn't allowed for inflation. And he took a last look at his man, whose picture it hung on the back door. And Jim felt that somehow or other he'd not seen her look that angry before. With this transformation complete, he sat into his old Morris Minor and checked its front passenger seat to see if it had a recliner. Then soon he arrived at the dance hall, and he parked her up near the fire station. Well, he thought it might be an advantage if he got into a hot situation. Yeah, if he got into a hot situation, and I can tell you how Jim he was gleaming as he paid to get in at the door, and down his brow the sweat that was streaming as he stepped out on the dance floor. And he quickly surveyed his surroundings as he searched for the love of his life. But the heart in his chest, it was racing, him thinking what a way to look for a wife. Well, then he looked up the side of the dance hall, where the ladies all stood in a row, as the fellas rushed over to ask them. Sure, Jim thought he might give it a go. Yeah, Jim thought he might give it a go. Well, he didn't quite know where to start, as he'd never been in the dance scene. He was more used to the mart, where the heifers went round in a ring. Then a newfound courage came over him, and he thought, sure, he'd just take a chance. So he said to the young one before him, excuse me, would you like to dance? Yeah, excuse me, would you like to dance? Jim thought that she looked like his ma, but at that stage he couldn't care less. And before he could ask yet another, the young one smiled back and said yes. Yeah, the young one smiled back and said yes. In his head wedding bells were ringing, and for a moment his world had stood still, as they waltzed round the hall to Tom singing the old rustic bridge by the mill. Well, he swore he'd never love another, and that she was the love he'd awaited for years. And then as Tom sang, shall I ne'er see a more gentle mother, poor Jim, he just burst into tears. Yeah, poor Jim, he just burst into tears. Oh, she left him right there where she found him, as it was more than the poor girl could take. And the crowd quickly gathered in round him, when they felt his poor heart start to break. Yeah, when they felt his poor heart start to break. Still he said he'd not stand there grieving, so he made a straight line for the door. Jim knew when leaving the dance hall that he wouldn't be back anymore. In his head his ma's words were still ringing, on how dancing could well be a sin. And as he ran out the door, Big Tom began singing, you're going out the same way you came in. Yeah,